Megyn Kelly tears into the crooks and liars at MSNBC. Hey guys, you're watching Bring the Asteroid. Make sure you like today's video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll get right into the drama.
So James O'Keefe, he was on the show the other day of now OMG Media, went undercover through one of his staffers, a female staffer, and got this producer for one of their weekend shows on camera. I mean, it's admitting the obvious. We all knew this about MSNBC, but it's still interesting to hear a producer at the network admit it, saying the following. Watch.
So do you feel like MSNBC is doing enough to help the Harris campaign?
I mean, they're doing all they can to
Which is why?
amplify her message. What her message of the day is their message of the day. It hammers home the point that I'm making, that this news network is indistinguishable from the party.
Are they just the Democratic Party's mouthpiece?
Exactly.
MSNBC is the Democratic Party's mouthpiece.
Yes. Yes.
So is MSNBC just like doing whatever it takes to get Kamala elected?
Yes. They've made their viewers dumber over the years. Viewers get mad at the guests or the hosts if the host were to criticize Democrats.
Because they're so brainwashed
Yes.
into thinking that the Democratic Party can do no wrong.
Not that they can't do any wrong. It's maybe they can do wrong. I just don't want to hear about it. Don't say it out loud, because if you say it out loud, it helps Trump. I think brainwashing and dumbing down,
It's bad.
aggressive,
I get it.
helps Trump.
Poor Basil Hamden. Pro tip, when your date sounds more like the Inquisitor at a deposition and has her handbag pointed at you just so and asks you to speak into it, oh, a note of caution before you offer your unvarnished thoughts. It was unbelievable. It was like,
yeah, and also,
would you say, yes, I would? What'd you say?
And don't drink. Like, don't get so, fuzzy that you're sort of like spouting proudly what you're doing. I mean, my favorite part of that clip, Megyn, is when he says we're dumbing our audience down. Like, this is the viewership that likes to feel like they're so high on their own supply of like.
I mean, just think about what an utter insult that is to their audience to admit that out loud. Gosh, why do you have to like brag about it?
Moral self-righteousness, and that every political position that's espoused by this network is the only true and correct one. And he's basically saying we've dumbed them down and we've brainwashed them and it's good for us. And it's, like, let's just not get Trump elected. It's and the way he said, like, he's smiling. He's like, he thinks it's funny. He's kind of proud of it. It seems like, I mean, I could watch that thing on a loop. It's amazing.
This is all I could think of a couple of months ago when they were all indignant about Ronna McDaniel being hired as a contributor after she left the RNC, and they acted like the devil himself had been under contract now to MS. They all went on the air trying to get her fired, which was ultimately successful, talking about themselves and their network like they were Honest Abe themselves. They, like George Washington, we cannot tell a lie here at MSNBC, and we could not possibly hire someone who lies for pay. Remember, we cut this soundbite and I resurrected here.
I want to associate myself with all my colleagues, both at MSNBC and at NBC News, who have voiced loud and principled objections to our company putting on the payroll someone who hasn't just attacked us as journalists, but someone who is part of an ongoing project to get rid of our system of government.
We weren't asked our opinion of the hiring, but if we were, we would have strongly objected to it.
When NBC made the decision to give her NBC News' credibility, you got to ask yourself, what does she bring NBC News?
We welcome Republican voice. I wish more Republicans. I want Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney to get right here and come talk to me. The reality is, this isn't a difference of opinion. She literally backed an illegal scheme to steal an election in the state of Michigan.
And our democracy is in danger because of the lies that people like Ronna McDaniel have pushed on this country.
We've also said election deniers. It's not just they can do that on our airwaves, but that they can do that as one of us, as badge-carrying employees of NBC News, as paid contributors to our sacred airwaves.
Oh my God, sacred airwaves. Sacred airwaves with an ID badge, Maureen. That's what really sent Nicole Wallace off the deep end. But this guy, Basil Hamden gives it up in that clip with James O'Keefe's person.
I mean, does his badge work anymore, do you think? Like, does he get to like participate in like these sacred airwaves going out across the nation? I mean, by the way, is there anyone more insufferable in this moment, like this side of Sunny Hostin, than Rachel Maddow? It is like she has gone
I mean,
off the
I'm
deep
going to
end.
say Nicole Wallace is up there. I'm going to say she's giving her a run for her money.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I don't see her as much as Rachel Maddow's mug is in my face like all the time. And I watching them 2A1, you know, do this sort of public execution of a conservative who, you know, I believe at least when they like fired her before they even got her on the air, at least got all her money. It's just, again, they're telling us who they are. They are at least showing us and telling us
that's their
who
motto.
They are.
That's their motto. This is who we are. And we're like, we know. Yeah, we got it. But to hear him say...
Thanks for stating the obvious, yeah.
Right, but to hear him say, like, we're doing all we can to help the Harris campaign, that we try not to say anything critical of her or it will upset our audience, explains a lot. Like that they're taking Harris campaign messaging and just putting it on the air every day as their news. That explains SOT 3. Let's play it again. That explains SOT 3.
An interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny, I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this. And to me, it's the right thing to do, you know, support women. When we lift up women, we support women, whether it's pay equity, childcare, family leave, and all these issues that, and you know, this post-Dobbs hellscape, women should not be less than.
There's a pop culture phrase, wife guy, which you've kind of been known as. Are you familiar with this?
I've heard about it.
As called a wife guy, a proud wife guy. How do you feel
Are they flirting? I'm getting grossed out.
about that?
Well,
I got into public service for the same reason that many people do, to serve the American people. And there are many others who have followed a similar path, who I have a great deal of respect for. But here's the thing. That kind of experience only matters and only has value to viewers, all of you, if it is paired with honesty and with good faith. And our democracy is in danger because of the lies that people like Ronna McDaniel have pushed on this country.
Honesty and good faith.
This is a woman who, while she was Biden's press secretary, and it's worth noting, she asked Obama for that position more than once, and he said no, because he didn't think she had what it took. And really what he thought was that she didn't have the warmth or the congeniality to do the job. And we saw that. She would routinely snicker and smirk and roll her eyes and dismiss questions that contradicted the Biden White House's party line. And I feel the same way about George Stephanopoulos. It's always boggled my mind how a news organization, a large one, a major one, at that, can hire somebody whose job was to spin for their bosses. There's a great documentary about White House press secretaries, you know, and like the spine of it is that they all lie. They're lie. They're partisans. And they're partisans, and
that is the truth. And I'm going to cut it off there because that sums it up. These people are quite literally paid to lie. They're not paid to tell you the truth. They're not paid to bring you the news. They are paid to sell you a lie and brainwash you. But of course, this audience is too smart to get fooled by that. Thank you again so much for watching Bring the Asteroid. Subscribe. See you next time.